Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, dropping the follow-up video for Scourge Arrow CI Trickster based around cold damage, but does a bit of lightning as well. And it has at this point cleared the entire endgame at level 89, I think, is when we started doing it on a 5-link, so nothing really unaffordable in the build. It's just a pretty strong setup overall because Scourge Arrow itself has dumb damage, Trickster as CI has pretty damn strong defenses, and a lot of the time I'm barely ever taking damage in most situations because evasion is really strong in this type of setup, and then getting the additional regen from Soul Strike just seems to recover you from certain situations quite often. But all in all, I'm not even sure that's too worth it, so by all means you can probably chuck a Void Fletcher into your build instead and just get some more damage and some extra explosions. But the build setup I think is rather strong way of building a bow character at the moment, simply because Hyri's Ire gives you so much defense and offense all in one piece, gives you so much evasion, so much energy shield, as well as that a huge extra bunch of cold damage that is essentially an additional link. So I think it's pretty hard to go past that when building a elemental damage stacking bow character, especially as a trickster, and it just sort of makes sense in the end, because typically if you're going to go a very offensive chest in your slot as a, let's say, life character, you're sacrificing a large part of your defense. So instead of getting something like 4.5, 5,000 life as a bow character, we have almost 7k ES, and actually did hit 7k in the end, and then a lot of additional recovery in the form of Ghost Shrouds. The playstyle is just a little bit wonky here or there, because Scourge Arrow without a really fast weapon, and without a bunch of other sort of additional pod enchant, maybe even an additional arrow, does clear a little worse than you'd like it to, but you can easily fix that by just using a much faster weapon, getting the pod enchant, or actually just playing around with Rain of Arrows for your clear instead, because Rain of Arrows is already in this build as a huge additional single target boost, but you can just plain clear with it instead if you really don't like Scourge Arrow that much. I think Scourge Arrow ultimately is a bit nicer on single target, but Rain of Arrows is a completely viable and strong option in this build for entire clearing and also single targeting, and I encourage you guys to try that out too. If you're going to try a build that revolves around Scourge Arrow, maybe you'll enjoy Rain of Arrows just that much more. But I do think Scourge Arrow is going to have better single target. There are plenty of situations like this little fortification though that you come across that just feels terrible for Scourge Arrow, because the sort of collision with doors and narrow spaces is still really bad, and you definitely can feel that a lot of the times, so it can be a little bit frustrating, and that's where Rain of Arrows may come into your build too. But you can see Rain of Arrows just hits like an absolute truck, and does come in quite handy as a secondary 5-link in this sort of build. So if you've got a spare 5-link in your bow character, I would not hesitate to chuck in a Val Rain of Arrows. But you can see some of these doorways are just pretty annoying for your Scourge Arrow, and you know, if that's getting to you, then it may be time to try a bit of Rain of Arrows, or just swap out of the bow playstyle entirely, because there is a bit of annoyance with Scourge Arrow overall, so I wanted to give you fair warning for that. However, you can see single target does end up being pretty good, and the huge evasion, the Ghost Shrouding, and the large sort of effective life pool to start with does make this a pretty smooth experience overall. Just about none of these Guardians ever could really do anything to me, and then if they do, you've got a nice 7k effective life pool to go by. That also goes up by more every time you take damage technically, because you're instantly recovering about 1,000 energy shield every time you get hit. So I'd say we can call ourselves a 10k effective life pool, which is a lot more than a bow character I would traditionally have, or I would traditionally play has. And the single target, it's definitely improvable, because this is still only a 5-link, and if you get the pod enchant, that helps as well. And if you get an additional arrow in your Scourge arrow setup, like from a quiver, or from something like a Deadeye Ascendancy, something like maybe even your bow or your Dying Sun setup, if you want to run one of those, your single target should go up quite substantially, because your pods will no longer go in a direct line when you fire them, but they'll cluster around the boss, and then essentially each pod can do damage to the boss, and if it's all really close around him like that, it kind of treats it as a shotgun scenario. Something like that. So it's been a pretty smooth experience on the character. It is time to bench it, unfortunately, because there's more things to do out there. And I've probably got another bow character lined up a little bit later too. Overall, like I said, not the smoothest playstyle because of the way Scourge Arrow currently functions, but it was definitely worth making and worth exploring yet again. So I'll leave you guys with the first Uber order kill of the character on the 5 link still. Never actually got a 6th link, but there you go. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Just a plain frenzy setup too. Keep frenzy charges up. This is bullshit. Yep, there goes my frenzies again. It would be cool to be able to keep him up mid-fight just by tapping every now and again. An extra time, quickly. Especially since I have 5 of them. It's 20% damage. It's a lot. Not even getting any from here? Come on. What the fuck? When did he do that? He blinked and then queued up an extra fucking slam that I wasn't on the screen for? Dodged it like a pro though. And they said evasion was worthless. I don't know who's still saying that, but you know. It's a bit of a messy run, because I got that tentacle splooge standing right there, or sitting right there, that's making my regen a bit more annoying. Slaps! Sure you're supposed to port now, Shaper. You've been in that corner for way too long. You filthy nerd. There he goes. Did he just port out of my death? Or is he dead? No, he's good. Alright. Give me a job. Shit! That's a lot of money these days. Nice. Actual cash money, baby.